Chapter 17. How to Survive and Thrive in Any Recession. If you are not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, create one with your mind, investment mentality, and hand, hard work, because nobody really came into this world with spoons in their mouth. Financial famine and dry seasons are constants that one has to deal with in the course of one's lifetime. It is very important for anyone to know how to survive and thrive in those periods in life when things seem to be dry. Famine is normal to life. It's only dependent on where you stand. There are different categories of people when it comes to financial famine. Those who have never experienced famine before because they are born into and forever live in wealth. Those who have forever lived in famine because they are born into and forever live in poverty. Those who have had money before, lost it by famine and never recovered. Those who have had money before, lost it by famine and recovered over time to never allow it again. Those who have had money before, lost it by famine, recovered it and lost it again and continue in that cycle. Those who just survive through life and flow with whatever they experience as normal. Famine in life can be personal, national, corporate, global, and can be years apart, because individuals can be thriving and blossoming even in a bad national or global climate, and can also be experiencing severe famine in the midst of a booming national and global economy. The world has become a global village, and the Internet is the village square. So by virtue of this globalization, nations are affected both positively and negatively by global issues more than before. The world is presently experiencing what is called economic crunch, global depression, or a global recession, which began in 2007. You sure know that some people are doing well and thriving regardless of the professed global recession, while some people don't know of any recession because they have been living in one all their lives. I don't want to go back into the recession conspiracy because we have dealt with that before. However, I need to let you know that no matter the financial climate you find yourself, anywhere and during your lifetime, you can survive and thrive. Why do we have recession? There are a few reasons I want to address as key factors to note when it comes to this recession issue. 1. The wealth cycle. Life is in cycles, and that is why we have life cycles, and things moves in cycles, like the earth itself. Thousands of years ago, the king of Egypt had a dream, and this was the period when Egypt was practically the only developed part of the world, and a man called Joseph, who lived in that time, interpreted the dream of the pharaoh. The interpretation, which looked more like a time-bound specific message to Egypt, was no doubt more than that. It was the Creator's way of informing the entire world of the wealth cycle. 7 years of plenty, then 7 years of famine, and on and on. Wealth cycle simply reveals that life moves in cycles of flourishing and famines, and even though it may not be mathematical as 7 years exactly, but if you study and look through the financial history of the world, you will realize that every 7 to 10 years, plus or minus, things change. This cycle allows for redistribution of wealth, emergence of new millionaires, new ideas and solutions to global issues. The cycle, when understood, helps people gain wisdom and know how to stay on top at all times. Nature operates in cycles, and we need to really grasp that. I remember back in secondary school, we were taught in agriculture what is called bush fallowing. This is a process of leaving the land dormant and uncultivated for a period of time to enable it regain and recreate nutrients before cultivation resumes again. Knowing this will help you operate the new rules of money that says knowledge is the new money, and if you prepare for bad times, you will always have good times. When you see things booming, do not waste it or take it for granted, but do the right things so that when seasons change and doom comes, you will still be booming in the midst of the doom. 2. The subprime greed. The greed of man and its reflection in the subprime mortgage deals has been the major catalyst for this present recession. Due to a lot of financial language being used, many people did not get the message of how terrible this subprime thing was and how it can cause such great global problem. It only shows what greed for gain can do. Let me try to explain this simply. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. The cost of land and the building comes to about $40,000, but they mark it up and value it for $100,000, which by itself is an error. You now want to buy the house, but since you have no money, you get a mortgage and pay over time. If you buy a $100,000 house and pay over a 25-year period, you will pay about $250,000 in total for a $40,000 house you bought for $100,000. The principle and rule of such transaction requires that you pay something up front as deposit and that the monthly payment should not exceed 1/3 of your monthly income. But guess what? Because you are greedy and want to live the dream, and they are greedy and want to milk the cow, you inflate your income to increase the size and cost of the house you can buy. An error. They do deals no money down, etc., just to suck you in, get their fees and commission, and milk you for decades. To worsen the greedy trends, they now say to themselves, since I'm expecting $250,000 from this guy over a 20-year period, I can't afford to wait. Let me sell the $250,000 expected income over time for $150,000 cash now and move on. So they sell to another who pays and increases the property value on paper by saying it is now worth $150,000 and I'm expecting more than $250,000 over time. They sell to another, and the deception cycle goes on. You also pull out equity from the house and surrender to the new value. You enjoy the money now, they expect more money from you, and life goes on. All this on a $40,000 property that is probably now worth $80,000, even though it has been stretched on paper to about $180,000 by now. Financial products called derivatives, it means derived from, were sold to individuals, groups, organizations, and nations with huge returns, all tied to these paper value real estates that have no real value close to that on ground. Greed bred greed, and greed grew to become a global monster. You were remortgaging, pulling out equity, living large, and buying more. They were revaluing on paper and stretching value beyond reality, and all this was based on two assumptions. You will keep paying your monthly dues, and the house will keep appreciating for real to meet up with the stretched value on paper. Then the bubble burst, and the pack of lies, deception, and greed came tumbling down. I hope you get the message. 3. Oil price and wars. From Kuwait to Iraq, Afghanistan to Syria, Iran to Libya, etc., the world powers have been creating wars where there need not be wars, all in a bid to control oil in different regions. This incessant war, sanctions, and vandalizations has affected the oil price globally, and this has greatly affected the economic dynamics of many nations due to the value oil holds in the world, and this is another factor affecting this global trend called recession. 4. Stocks and financial manipulations. Like they did with real estate, so they did with stock and financial product, which were all motivated by greed as books were cooked so corporate executives can collect huge cash bonuses today for balloon and fake figures on paper that tomorrow will realize. Well, the tomorrow has finally come, and the realization was a global realization, recession. This only pushed things back to reality where it should have been. No wonder $250,000 houses now sell for as low as $50,000 at auction. Banks and financial institutions have so manipulated things to the extent that stocks that really had a 5 naira value was cooked and manipulated to be valued at as much as 40 to 70 naira. Now things are back to their real value. Greed, greed, greed. Beware of greed. Did I hear you say, how did they cook the book? Well, let me try to help you get this. Let's say a bank is worth 200 million naira and wants to recapitalize to 500 million naira. And then they go public to sell shares. But here's the problem. In order to claim success, they loan out, say, $150 million of their cash to the public to use in buying their shares, using the share certificates as collateral. If you remove 150 from 200, won't you have 50? Well, what the greedy bunch did was retaining the 200 million in their books. If you remove 150 from 200, won't you have 50? Well, what the greedy bunch did was retaining the 200 mil in their books and still adding the 150 mil as income. So 50 mil becomes 350 mil by corporate magic. They inflate their stock's value based on this deception. They got huge performance bonus based on the deception. They rated their institutions as global players due to this deception. Today, many now suffer due to this deception. How will you expect a local bank that has more adverts on CNN than CNN itself to be faking it? Well, they did use the global advert and global ratings to fool many, and today, here we are. 5. The creator's agenda. One other factor to note is the creator's prophetic agenda for the world, and it is simple. In these last days, darkness shall cover the earth, and great darkness the people. I will shake all that can be shaken, and only that which cannot be shaken will remain, until the kingdom of this world becomes and bow to my kingdom and my ways. This is not a religious book, but except for the children of light, things will get tougher. It is well. To survive and thrive, one must be rightly informed and take the right steps and precautions. I have 7 prescriptions for this. How to survive and thrive. 1. Pursue financial intelligence. What you know determines how far you go, and having financial intelligence is the foundational key to surviving and thriving. This book is all about financial intelligence, so just keep learning and you will be safe. 2. Rise above waste. There are 2 ways to have money, like we have seen earlier. Increase your income or reduce your expenditure. Avoiding waste and excesses and keeping the main thing is vital for anyone to survive and thrive. 3. Develop multiple streams of income. Everything cannot go dry at the same time, except one is jinxed. And having diverse income sources makes one to survive and thrive, because if one income source is not flowing, the other will. 4. Leverage and maximize all opportunities. One man's problem is another's opportunity, and no matter how bad things are, there are opportunities available therein. One man's house being foreclosed is an opportunity for another to buy it cheap at auction. One man's business going bankrupt is an opportunity for another to buy the companies cheap or for people to buy the company's properties cheap at auction. Look for and maximize all the opportunities around so you can survive and thrive. 5. Explore recession-proof zones. Remember the Michael Jackson's concert story I shared earlier in this book? Well, you should. There are recession-proof zones. There are sectors and things that are not affected by recession, and if you play within that zone or explore them, you will be able to survive and even thrive. When people face financial famines, they prioritize their spending, and the basic needs become the key areas of focus. So if you play in that sector, you are recession-proof. No matter how poor people are, they will eat. They will fight to have a roof over their heads. They will not walk naked but be clothed. They will transport themselves from place to place. They will pay for utilities and amenities. They will fight to pay their children's school fees, etc. If you are the one selling the food, letting out the house, selling the cheap clothes, running the transportation, offering the utilities and amenities, owning the school, you will be recession-proof. There are many recession-proof zones I listed during my year 2009 encounter, but I can't deal with them all due to space constraint. You can order for my CD, Becoming Recession-Proof, for details. 6. Activate the supernatural. We have to revisit the supernatural again because it is key. If I don't let you know that this alternative exists, I will also be guilty of misinformation. There is a place for supernatural supply, And if you connect to the Creator in a covenant relationship, you can enjoy this and activate it to flow for you. I know what it is to experience supernatural supply, and if you make the Creator your source, then no matter what, you will survive and thrive because there is no recession with Him. 7. Don't give up. The final prescription, which actually undergirds every other thing, is don't give up. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And the only way the snail or tortoise makes progress is by sticking their heads out. No matter the storm, no matter the turbulence, keep weathering it and keep pressing on because it's only a matter of time. You will survive and you will thrive. If you cannot fly, run. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. By all means, just make sure you are making progress. Enjoy the story of the king and his friend as we close this chapter. The story is told of a king in Africa who had a close friend with whom he grew up. The friend had the habit of looking at every situation that ever occurred in his life, positive or negative, and remarking, "This is good." One day, the king and his friend were out on a hunting expedition. The friend would load and prepare the guns for the king. In preparing one of the guns, the friend had apparently done something wrong, for after taking the gun from his friend, the king fired it and his thumb was blown off. Examining the situation, the friend remarked as usual, "This is good." To which the king replied, "No, this is not good," and proceeded to send his friend to jail. About a year later, the king was hunting in a dangerous area that he should have known to stay clear of. Cannibals captured him and took him to their village. They tied his hands, stacked some wood, set up a stake, and bound him to it. As they approached him to set fire to the wood, they noticed that the king had a missing thumb. Superstitious, they never ate anyone who was less than whole. So after untying the king, they sent him on his way. As he returned home, he was reminded of the event that had taken his thumb and felt remorse for his treatment of his friend. He went immediately to the jail to speak with his friend. "You were right," he said. "It was good that my thumb was blown off." And he proceeded to tell the friend all that had just happened. And he said, "I am very sorry for sending you to jail for so long. It was bad for me to do this." "No," his friend replied, "this is good." "What do you mean this is good? How could it be good that I sent my friend to jail for a year? If I had not been in jail, I would have been with you on that journey and not alive here with you right now."